Welcome to another edition of Office Hours with State Representative John K. Hampton. I'm proud to be your state representative, and I'm delighted to have as my guest today a woman who is impacting the world, healing and touching the lives of children in Uganda. My guest today is Jolly Lux of Guiding Light Orphans. Welcome so much, Jolly. It's been a long time I wanted you on my show. Thanks so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Representative John, for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Now, we have to start with your beautiful name. Oh. I took Latin, and Lux, I believe, is light, right?
Yes.
And Jolly
is happy.
Is happy light. And that's what you are.
Yeah,
spreading happiness and light
right.
Across the world. And here you are in the Farmington Valley. And tell us a bit about your background and how you came to start this wonderful organization that we call GLOW.
Oh, yeah.
So it's all about glowing and light.
And happiness.
And happiness and touching lives. So.
And bringing joy.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Well, I was born and raised in Uganda, very conservative, being very respectful of elderly, church-going, raised by several relatives, mothers, grandfathers, grandmothers, so it's all communal. You're raised by everyone in your neighborhood. You become everybody's child. So being raised in that kind of environment, we didn't know who was coming in the house. Everyone was a neighbor or a friend or a relative. So some relatives actually we came to know were not actually relatives. They were children from other neighborhoods who were taken in by my late grandfather to take care of them. So they became family to us. So it was not unusual for us to be raised around other strangers who became friends and relatives in our family. So I think that might have shaped the background of starting Guiding Light Orphans. To make the whole story short, I came to the United States. I was given that opportunity to come here in the year 2000. And in 2010, I'm really honored that I was given the citizenship of the United States.
Wonderful. Congratulations.
And, thank you. That was a really turning point for me. I felt like the world had been given an opportunity that I probably never even dreamed of. And I said, okay, I'm going to take this on. I feel like a free person. I can do anything I want. I can help where I can. And in 2011, I took a trip to Uganda, my home country, and my aunt, who is a political leader there, she was a parliamentarian at the time, and it was a Sunday morning. She asked me, she said, would you like to come and see the constituencies where I serve? I said, yes, absolutely. At the time, she was campaigning to be reelected, and my thought was she was trying to get me to stamp for her, but that was a different case. So that Sunday morning, we prepared ourselves, we went to church, and in the afternoon, there was a huge crowd of people whereby everyone was coming to see and hear what it is that she can do for them. These are communities, very rural, that I've never even known existed, but I saw so many children, maybe the age of 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 10, running around, giggling in rags, and they didn't look great, but they were happy. They seemed so happy, and it's like, wow, whose kids are these? And I didn't know that these were all orphans, but I had no one to ask at the time. So when the event for her to speak came up, I was sitting right next to her, and people were asking all kinds of questions, how she might be able to help them. Some of them were widows, widowers, grandparents, the youth, the disabled. They all wanted to hear from her to find out how she might be able to help them through their challenges. So out of a blue, I decided, I'm just going to mingle around. I'm excited. I want to see the people, how they live. And it's out of that this strange woman came to me, and she said, can I talk to you? I said, yes, of course. She said, I want to share something with you, but please don't tell anyone. I said, of course. In my mind, I'm thinking, well, I'm in a strange area. I don't know anyone, so I don't think I'll be sharing any of her secrets. What she shared with me was that she had lost her husband to HIV 4 years prior to that, so that might have been 2007. And I felt sad for her, being, a woman who has no husband. And then she also said she had a 4-year-old son who had been born HIV-free. I got excited for her. And then as I'm listening, I hear a but coming. And then she says to me, but I have HIV, I have AIDS myself, and I know I'm going to die, but I don't know who is going to take care of my son when I die. That was hard to hear. I was confused, I was taken back, I didn't even know how to respond to this woman. It was a quick encounter. My tears started coming in my eyes, and my response was to give her a hug, but she didn't want me to hug her. And her answer to me, she said, oh, if you give me a hug, everyone is going to know. At first, I didn't realize what that meant. So within a split second of 2 to 3 seconds, this woman had disappeared away from me, and she's gone in the crowd. And that's when I recollect my thoughts, and I saw that this woman actually needed something from me. She shared her secret with me, and in my confusion, I forgot to ask for her name, or where she came from, or what actual need she was in need of. I was confused. And within that time, that's when I realized, I said, oh my God, this woman just disappeared. How can I ever find out how we can help her? I didn't even know what kind of help she needed. But as the day went on, this message she left with me really reflected so much on me. And as we were leaving the evening, I turned to my aunt. I said, look, this woman has touched me so much. We have to do something. And my aunt, who has lived around the community for a long time, she said to me, this is our daily life. I don't know what I can do. I don't know. But I said, you are in the government. Can't you talk to the officials in the government to do something? I think there was rage that a woman like her could walk to a stranger to express her deepest secret. And my aunt is, I don't know what we can do. So, but then there's this feeling of we've got to do something. I didn't know what that something was, but the message was, we can't just leave these people like this. So after that, she had also shared with me that, almost over 1 million children had been orphaned by HIV/AIDS alone.
How many?
Over 1 million.
In Uganda?
In Uganda. At this time, I don't know, but I think by 2012, it was over 1.5 million children, and people continuously getting infected every day. So I just said, this is just too much. Something has to be done. So we left, and my husband was here at the time.
You met your husband here and married him here?
Yes,
Okay.
yes, yeah. We met here, and we've been married since 2005.
Nice.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Absolutely, wonderful guy. So I called him up. I said, look, honey, this is what happened. I met this strange woman. She shared her fear, and I don't know. So he said to me, can you go back to that village and find that woman? Maybe even find her son, if possible. Maybe we can adopt her, the little boy. I said, okay. But the next day I went back. I couldn't find the woman because these are communities that are very remote. And people are coming from different villages. So you never know who this person was coming from, which village.
What part of Uganda is this?
It's the western mid part of Uganda in a district called Masindi.
Okay.
I believe it's about 330-something kilometers. They count in kilometers. We never found the woman. even up to today, we've never found her, unfortunately. But that's how Guiding Light Orphans came to be born, with the mission of us supporting those children and those who are vulnerable in other ways. Could be children who have been born with disabilities or they're abandoned by their parents. The mission was specifically to help those particular children. But after being on the ground, we also realized that they're also being taken care of by frail grandparents. So we also included their caregivers into our program.
So how long has GLOW been established? Since what year?
GLOW was registered with the state of Connecticut, I believe, on June 2011. That was 5 months after I had that encounter with the woman. We spent about 3 years, almost 3 years, not knowing what to do, thinking about it, praying about it, because we had never done anything like this. We were so afraid of what we would do if we started right away. And one of the things that came out of it, I think that was great, was that my husband told me, she said, honey, what is it you think we can do for these communities? And I said to him, but I think education would be the greatest thing. Education is the key, the foundation for success. This can help them get out of poverty. But I said, why don't we go back and ask the people themselves what their greatest need is? And sure enough, I went back in 2013, I asked. I must have gone to probably about 30, 40 villages, but in different community centers, maybe would meet at a church or would meet at a school. All these people were there to voice themselves and tell what their greatest needs are. And most of them agreed it was basic health care that they needed. And I came back, I shared with my friends, and we formed a board. We did a small fundraiser, and by 2014, we took off. Wow. We took off our first mission to provide basic health. So we've been in operation since 2014, so it will be 3.5 years.
Now, is there an actual orphanage, a structure?
So there is no orphanage. At first we thought we were going to be an orphanage, but then we quickly realized that that wasn't our actual mission. We support orphans, vulnerable children and their caregivers within their homesteads. So they live within their confines. But we have a facility where they come to seek care in terms of basic care.
But are there some orphans that are on the street otherwise?
I'm not exactly sure. I go every 2 years. I mean, every year I go twice, and every 6 months. But I have never really gone into deep areas where there are children who have been abandoned or on the street. But I think their neighbors or relatives, friends who are willing to take on some kids, even though they can't afford to take care of their own, to get them off the streets. But if you go into the capital city in Kampala, there's thousands and thousands of children who are on the street, but not in the rural areas where we are. I haven't seen them.
How do people find you and know about GLOW and get help?
Yeah, so
in Uganda.
In 2014, when we went for the first time, my husband and I took off. We did a medical camp that reached nearly 500 people. Most of them were women and children because those were the most vulnerable. We quickly realized what the need was, but also we wanted to make sure that we had connections within that community because we were guests at the time, just trying to get in, to get to know people. So one of the things we did was to attach ourselves to people who are known as community healthcare workers. In Uganda, they are known as VHTs, village health teams. So we partnered with a great organization there. It's called Masindi Hospital. It's a local government institution. Masindi Hospital. That's a little town. We're very good friends with the district health officer there, Dr. John. He's been wonderful. We asked him how we might be able to make connections in those rural communities. And one of the things he advised us to do was to attach ourselves with these community healthcare workers who are people living in the same communities, but they are willing to be able to be the voice, the advocate, the liaisons for their neighbors. So we trained them. We trained 10 of them in communications, in reaching people. How do you go from door to door and tell people that we have a service here that is provided by Guiding Light Orphans? So those people became our allies, they became our ears, they became our voices on the ground, and connected us with the community. And that has worked amazingly well, because you go like, wow, yeah, within your only 3.5 years of operations, how have you been able to reach over 20,000 people? These are the community healthcare workers that help us to do that kind of work. They go from door to door and they say, well, there's immunizations, exercises going on. Can you come to our clinic? There is epilepsy outbreak. It's a very common area where we have epileptic epidemic in that community. So that's one of the things Dr. John asked us to address. And we've been very successful in the last 2 years. Every month we see over 200 patients.
Wow.
And over 85% are now seizure-free. And we're so proud of that. But if it wasn't for the partnership with the local government and also the partnerships we created in the communities with these community healthcare workers, it would have been very, very difficult for us to reach these patients and get them to a level whereby they have become productive members of their society.
So the government is an ally with you. There's no, what's the political climate like?
In a sense, so far we have worked with the local community, the local hospital, which of course is governed by the Ministry of Health, which is under the Uganda government. We try to follow their policies and guidelines in how we practice, because that's how they have formed their policies, their national policy. And as we enter that kind of work, we have to follow those guidelines. So on the national level, we haven't really done much of partnerships. We really want to make sure that we are grounded right in those communities where the need is highest. However, the political climate, I think, where we are very safe. I wouldn't say much about the political climate, but I read that, people want, they want justice, they want democracy, they want to know that their human rights are respected. And some of these things are not, they're challenging. They're challenging, especially at the national level, which also trickles to the local community level, because if policies are not being met, the last person who is going to be affected, or the first person to be affected, is the person who is in the rural, whose voice is not being heard. So that becomes a challenge. Services in Kampala, in the capital city, they are way, way much better compared to those who are in the rural of the rural. So to be able to bridge that gap, I think that's where the challenge is right now. People need to be advocated for.
So you're a 501c3, you have a board of directors.
Yes, we do. Yeah.
And how do you fundraise?
Well, initially when we started, we put on small fundraisers like house parties where we would raise $2,000, $3,000, and then individual donations that would come in from friends who have known us from day one when we shared with them that we wanted this mission. Also, this past June, we were able to put on at least one fundraiser that was very, very successful. It helped us to raise nearly $14,000.
Wonderful.
It was very successful. Thank you for coming
Of
to
course,
support us.
of course.
We're excited that you are
Yeah.
able to be a part of that.
This would be a wonderful event.
And thank you. Also, early this year, Cigna came on board and
great.
they gave us a grant for $20,000.
Wonderful.
So that was exciting. So those have been some ways how we've been fundraising, but we're looking more into now, starting to look into grant foundations so that we can expand our funding resources.
Diversify your funding.
Absolutely.
And of course, people who are watching can go to your website, which is what?
Our website is www.guidinglightorphans.org. That's where you can find information about the work we're doing and how you can support us.
And people can donate online or mail a check
Absolutely.
or post a fundraiser.
Absolutely.
How about volunteering? I talked about wanting to go on a mission trip. You do mission trips, right?
Oh, we would love to have you on our next mission.
When are you going again?
My next mission, personally, I'll be going by myself to open this clinic that the community has helped us to put together. However, our next mission trip with a group of people is going to be sometime next year in between June and July. So we still have about 6 months to prepare for that next trip, but we're really excited about this clinic that is about to open.
Now, we were talking earlier before the show about a project that was created. Was it a former truck or something you said?
Yeah.
What is it?
So this is interesting. When we went into that community, they gave us 2 acres of land.
Yeah.
And we weren't sure what to use it for because at the time we were just starting out. We didn't have any resources to do a major building project. But they also gave us 2 rooms in their church. We are attached to a church in that rural community. And they accepted us after they realized that our intentions were good. We're not there to grab and take away from them. They saw us as partners. And the 2 rooms, actually, we use them now for our monthly epilepsy clinics. They're not enough. They're very, very small. But we also realized we needed to expand. So we went to our partners, Rotary Club of Avon, Hampton. They donated a 40-foot shipping container.
A shipping container?
Yes, yeah. And Simsbury United Methodist Church here in Simsbury, the mission team that came last year, they helped us to build a foundation where to put this shipping container. And this year we did a fundraiser to convert it. And Simsbury is also coming again to help another project with that. Cigna Foundation gave us funding to do operations, staffing, and also buy medication. So all that is set. The only thing now we do require is to find more resources for funding so we can buy medical equipment and supplies to be installed into our clinic. So this shipping container looks amazing. We were like, wow, we couldn't believe this is what it has turned out to be. It has a registration area for our patients. It has an examination room. It has a laboratory, a pharmacy, and a storage area for all our equipment and supplies.
Wow.
So it's an exciting thing.
Incredible.
Yeah.
What is Uganda like?
Weather I would say it's very beautiful, especially when you go around June, July. It's very calming. The weather is absolutely gorgeous. You're probably thinking about 70, 80 degrees without humidity. Right now it's raining, so I wouldn't advise anyone to go when it's a rainy season because a lot of times the roads are very, very unpassable because they're not paved. Except maybe in the capital city and highways. That's why you have better roads. I think the economy is growing. It has a lot of foreign investors that are interested. There's a lot of oil coming up. They may start refining the oil very soon. Where we are near Lake Albert, and that's where most of the investors are located right now, trying to excavate the oil that is within Lake Albert. Human rights, that's still a challenge. There's still a lot of corruption. That is almost the order of the day, and it starts from the top all the way to the bottom. So that makes work very challenging.
Yeah, I bet.
And that's why I have to travel every 6 months to make sure that our programs are running effectively. Most people, I would say, those who are in the capital city, I think they're living a moderately better life. But in rural areas, I would say close to 80%, they're all rural farmers just working on small gardens to cultivate what they can help feed for their families and maybe a little bit of excess to sell off. But it's still challenging because the markets for their products is not easily accessible. Communication is still a very challenge for rural areas. So we hope to continue to work with the rural communities and give them tools that can empower them to be able to reach markets that are at the national level.
Now, do you still have family there? Lots of family?
I have all my family there, except for my husband. Him and I are here, but the rest of my family is all in Uganda.
You must miss them.
I used to, before we started this work, it was expensive for me to travel there on my own without doing any actual work there. I would spend 2 to 3 years without going. But now that I go every 6 months, it's a great opportunity to do the work we do, but also be able to visit my family. I get to spend time with them.
So you are a proud Ugandan and a proud American, and you are taking care of your homeland, and paying, and what a great tribute to you,
Thank you.
doing her Herculean work to touch the lives of the most vulnerable. And we are so blessed in our community to have people like you with such big hearts making such a difference. And we're so proud to have you in the Valley, and your husband, and to support this amazing organization. And so you should be very proud of yourself. And I'm so excited to learn more and to share more about Guiding Light Orphans Glow with Simsbury residents and beyond. Encourage folks to support you.
Thank you. Thank you.
To go to your website, to donate, maybe host a house party. Maybe there's some grantors out there or corporate folks who want to give money. They can do so as well, and start a movement to build momentum on the incredible work that you have done. So I am just so proud and excited and honored to have you on my show and to celebrate your amazing life and of service. Really, what an incredible story. And we'll have you again back on this show to tell us more and give us a progress update. I'm sure you'll grow in incredible ways. So thank you so much for being here. God bless.
God bless you
Yes,
too.
we'll see you again soon.
Thank you.
And thank you all the folks here at SCTV and all the folks here in our community who are watching. This has been another edition of Office Hours with State Representative. Till next time, thanks so much.
Funding for Simsbury Community Television is provided in part by contributions from viewers like you. Thank you.